What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JT Sports Podcast. I'm your host, JT. The Cardinals did us all a favor and they embarrassed the Cowboys 27-17 on Monday Night Football. There's only so much that you can say about the Cowboys that hasn't already been said before about this team. They're not good. They're not going to the playoffs. Dak Prescott is mid, and this franchise won't win anything meaningful until Jerry Jones is 6 feet under. So I don't want to waste any more time beating an already dead horse or a more than dead horse at this point, talking about what we already have known for so many years about the Dallas Cowboys. One thing that I will ask is that the NFL ban the Cowboys from playing in any more primetime games, at least for the rest of this season. You turn on Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, the 4:25 games on CBS and Fox, and the Cowboys seem to always be in one of these primetime games that they don't deserve to be in. There's no way that people can be this interested in watching bad football every single week. There's so many more productive things that we could have done with our 3 hours on this Monday night rather than watching the Dallas Cowboys stink it up. I see why Stephen A. Smith got up on out of there early, because he knew what the hell was about to happen. The Cowboys were about to embarrass themselves in Jerry's world. And then you had Jerry celebrating as soon as Stephen A. leaves. They get a block punt that they end up scoring a touchdown off of, and that pretty much was the highlight of the night. So what I do want to dive into from this game is the interesting predicament that the Cardinals find themselves in at quarterback. Do you continue to stick with the hot arm and Jacoby Brissett, or do you go back to Kyler Murray, the guy that you have a lot of money invested into? We'll dive into that along with the Eagles willing and dealing, making some trades happen. The Cincinnati Bengals, their team has completely imploded. You got the offense calling out the atrocious defense. This is the most toxic locker room in the NFL. And how about the Steelers? When everybody left them for dead after their consecutive losses to the Packers and the Bengals, showing everybody what it means to play Steelers football. I've never been prouder than what I am right now to be a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers with how they just dominated the Indianapolis Colts. The Commanders, when it rains, it pours. Not only did they get dragged by the Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, but Jaden Daniels is out, and they also are dealing with a slew of other injuries to key players. And I just feel last season was a facade. The success the Commanders had us jumping ship and getting our head of ourselves. And Lamar Jackson is the GOAT. He's better than Tom Brady. He's better than Joe Montana. I don't need to see any more out of Lamar Jackson to know that this not only is the greatest quarterback of all time, but the best quarterback that we will ever see put his hands on the football. If you live, eat, breathe, and sleep football, you come to the right place. We're talking NFL, college football, 24/7, 365 days throughout the year. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you don't miss when we drop new content. And if you're tired of seeing the Cowboys shoved down your throats in these primetime games like how I am, rate JT Sports 5 stars. You can find us Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. The links are down in the pinned comment and description down below. And let's dive into it. The Cardinals, led by Jacoby Brissett, rolled into Jerry's world, and they kicked the Cowboys' butts 27-17. They improved to 3-5 on the season. And the Cowboys' offense looks much better with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback than what it does with Kyler Murray. The passing attack is more efficient. You saw Marvin Harrison Jr. awaken from his slumber. He finally looks like the player that the Cardinals envisioned him being when they drafted him 4th overall. When he broke DaRon Bland's ankles for that touchdown, you knew it was going to be a long night for the Cowboys, especially on the defensive side of the football. And Jacoby Brissett, in the 3 games that he has started in replace of Kyler Murray, has thrown the same amount of touchdowns that Kyler Murray has thrown all season long. And at this point, it's time for the Cardinals to just cut their losses and move on from Kyler Murray. And one of my bold predictions for this season was that the Cardinals would trade Kyler Murray next offseason. Because you've seen the best that you're going to see out of Kyler Murray. He has already peaked when he led the Cardinals to the playoffs back when they had Cliff Kingsbury and they got shut out by the Rams. That was the peak of the Cardinals with Kyler Murray at quarterback. And with the Cardinals already having limitations that he has to overcome with the dysfunction of this organization, having one of the worst owners in the NFL, you're asking a lot of him to overcome that, along with his own limitations, being one of the smallest quarterbacks in the league. And Kyler Murray is a fun quarterback. He's one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks to ever enter this league, but people confuse fun with good. Just because Kyler Murray is a fun quarterback to watch doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a good enough QB to lead the Cardinals to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that Jacoby Brissett is that answer for the Cardinals, but Jacoby Brissett just runs this offense more smoother and more consistently than what Kyler Murray does. Kyler Murray is the most streaky quarterback in the NFL. He can play good one week and then have a bad stretch of football right after. And the Cardinals need consistency. They have a defensive-minded coach, so you need more consistent quarterback play than what you've gotten out of Kyler Murray. And they've already been through 2 head coaches. And if you fire Jonathan Gannon and you bring in a third guy, then eventually, how many guys are you going to run through until you eventually point the finger at Kyler Murray and say, you know what, you're the problem? And I think Jonathan Gannon is a really good coach, but he's being handcuffed, being attached to a quarterback in Kyler Murray that just isn't a winning QB. Kyler Murray, do you really look at him and say, yeah, we can win a Super Bowl with this? He can't see over his offensive line. He gets scared when he gets a little bit of pressure in his face because he doesn't like to get hit. He will be better off playing somewhere else. And there are plenty of teams that will be more than willing to give up a first-round pick to get Kyler Murray. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's not a good quarterback either. He's a tweener. And Kyler Murray is still living off potential. And he's been in the NFL for a while. And yet we still don't know what he is. And at this point, we just have to accept that Kyler Murray just is a above average, okay quarterback. And even if he does reach his full ceiling in the right situation, that still probably isn't good enough for Kyler Murray to get a team over the hump. And Jacoby Brissett, he's not the long-term solution at quarterback for the Cardinals either, but at least you give the team a better shot at making it to the playoffs with Jacoby Brissett than what you do with Kyler Murray, because you know what you're going to get out of Jacoby Brissett. He's going to take care of the football. He's going to manage the game. And that's all you're asking for if you're Jonathan Gannon as a defensive-minded coach. You don't need a lot of flash. People confuse flash with good. And flash doesn't win a lot of games. Kyler Murray is in that same prototype of quarterback that Russell Wilson and Caleb Williams are. They're good outside the structure. They're not good inside the pocket. And when you have a quarterback that can't throw in the middle of the field, that can't operate the quick game, you put a lot of limitations on the guy calling the plays. And look how good Marvin Harrison was playing tonight. Look how good Trey McBride looked. This is one of the best performances that both Trey McBride and MHJ have had in a while. And it's a testament to Jacoby Brissett and how he has stabilized the quarterback position for the Arizona Cardinals. Sometimes it takes you losing something valuable to realize what you lost isn't really that valuable at all. And Jacoby Brissett, for him to play as well as what he has in replace of Kyler Murray, tells you everything that you need to know as far as Kyler Murray's value to this team. He's replaceable. At this point, the Cardinals just need to go ahead and finalize this divorce between them and Kyler Murray, because it just isn't working out. You're paying this dude elite quarterback money to get average to slightly above average quarterback play at best, when you're getting the same play out of Kyler Murray that you're getting in Jacoby Brissett, but for a lot cheaper and a lot more consistent. So it's time for the Cardinals to go ahead and move on from Kyler Murray. There's an old saying that goes, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. And it's time for the Cardinals to fold their hands with Kyler Murray. If you ever get bored during the middle of the day and you're trying to talk some football, join the JT Sports Discord server, man. Link is down in the description and pinned comment below. We're trying to talk some ball with you, man. We want to hear from you. Go ahead and join the JT Sports Discord server. All the links are in the description and pinned comment section below. I don't understand why teams think that is smart to make trades with Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. They already have a God squad. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to make an already great team better than what they already are. They say that you never are supposed to kick somebody when they're down. That doesn't apply to the Philadelphia Eagles. When you see the Philadelphia Eagles down, you stomp them out in some Timberlands. You don't give them Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips. And Howie Roseman doesn't miss too often. When he trades for a player, he knows that there's a good amount of value in that player. And you put Jalen Phillips and Jair Alexander and the Vic Fangio defense, they're going to end up balling out. And yes, Jair Alexander is injury prone. He isn't what he used to be, but he still is a very good corner. He's an upgrade from what they've had at corner this season so far with Adoree Jackson. You're starting Adoree Jackson in the big 2025. And then Kelee Ringo, who should be playing safety. Yeah, Jair Alexander is going to be a perfect pickup for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know why the Ravens didn't play Jair, knowing that Lamar Jackson was the dude who more than likely made them pull the trigger on signing Jair. Maybe they said that, you know what, Jair, it's not really working out with you here in Baltimore. Since you're Lamar's homie, we're going to do you a favor. And instead of sending you to the Jets or the Raiders, we're just going to do you a solid. And since you're Lamar's homie, we'll send you to a team that is still really good, extremely competitive, in the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jalen Phillips, his first 2 seasons in the league, he was on his way to becoming an elite pass rusher. Unfortunately, the injury bug has held him back these last couple of years, but he started to come on this season. And right now, he currently is 11th in pressures. He has 3 sacks, and he's going to be more than good for what the Philadelphia Eagles need him to be in this defense. They're not asking for Jalen Phillips to be Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, but what they are asking for is a guy who can get more consistent pressure on the quarterback than what they've gotten from the guys on their defensive line so far this season. Jair Alexander, he's still a dog. Even if he's washed, he's better than Adoree Jackson and Kelee Ringo. And Jalen Phillips, hey, I think that Howie Roseman not only got a good fill-in to get the Eagles by as far as their pass rushing goes for this season, but somebody that you possibly could bring back when this season ends, when he ends up performing well, and give him a long-term extension on a discount. Because with Jalen Phillips' injury history, it's hard to imagine too many teams willing to give him a huge payday on the open market, unless you're a team that's terribly ran like the New York Jets. I could see them doing something idiotic like that. But for a team with some common sense, Jalen Phillips, this is more than just a fill-in to get you by for this season. This is the guy that is still very young into his career, that has a lot of good football left in him. And playing in Vic Fangio's system, one of the best defensive coordinators of this decade, could definitely be what Jalen Phillips needs to not just get his career back on track, but to also help him reach that next level that he was close to reaching before he dealt with all of those injuries. And I don't understand why teams are stupid enough to trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. You don't give an already Super Bowl caliber roster guys like Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips when they're down. You were supposed to just ignore Howie Roseman's calls if you are the Baltimore Ravens or the Miami Dolphins. Hell, the Ravens could regret trading Jair Alexander to the Philadelphia Eagles because we very much well could see the Eagles playing the Ravens in the Super Bowl this year, and then Jair Alexander picking off Lamar Jackson for the game-winning INT. And then EDC and John Harbaugh looking stupid because we're like, damn, we just lost the game to a guy that we didn't play at all, that we only signed because Lamar wanted us to sign him, and we traded him away to a team that was in desperate need of some corner help with an already good roster. Yes, you don't keep somebody down. You help them get back on their feet. But when you see the Philadelphia Eagles down, you spit on them and you stomp them out and you handcuff them to the ground, because the last thing the Eagles need is some cornerback help and a Jalen Phillips. And they got both of those, and I just feel like you might as well go ahead and give the Philadelphia Eagles the Super Bowl. Just go ahead and crown them back-to-back Super Bowl champs, because with Jair Alexander lining up on the opposite side of Guantanamo Bay, I mean, man, I think it's going to be tough sledding for any other team that's going up against Jair Alexander. And the Eagles don't need for Jair to stay healthy for the entirety of this season. All they need him to do is be healthy for the playoffs. That's all that matters. Jair Alexander can be more than healthy enough for 4 games come playoff time. And even at this point during the season, I mean, the guy is as healthy as he's ever been. He has barely played. So, I mean, if you can keep him healthy from this point on, I think he should be able to stay healthy. But to do this, like fragile luggage, you just breathe on Jair Alexander. He gets injured. But I think that the Dolphins and the Eagles making the Jalen Phillips trade was a huge win for both sides. The Jair Alexander trade from the Ravens to the Eagles, though, I don't really know how I feel about that, man. I really don't agree with giving a team like the Eagles a player of the caliber of Jair Alexander. And I think that both the Ravens and the Dolphins are going to regret making the Eagles a better team than what they already are. They did not need either one of these players. The Bengals have the most toxic locker room in the NFL. They are the first team in 59 years to score 38 points in consecutive games and lose them both due to how historically bad their defense is. And the Bengals defense is so bad that guys in their locker room are turning on each other. You got Jamar Chase, Chase Brown being pissed off of how the defense can't even get one stop, calling out the defense. And look, it wasn't smart for the Bengals to allow their 4 best players to consume nearly 50% of their salary cap, because now where else are you going to get money to put a defense on the field that's good enough to slow down the majority of offenses that you're going up against? That's a fair point. But at the same time, though, you don't expect for your defense to be so bad that they're giving up nearly 50 points a game. You allow Justin Fields and Caleb Williams to look like prime Tom Brady going up against you. And I know that their personnel is the worst in the league on the defense side of football, but this is the NFL. There's a bunch of guys that are more than capable of being able to step up and now allow Caleb Williams to engineer a game-winning drive to take home the W, to now allow Justin Fields to get a game-winning drive on you. And regardless of how bad the Bengals defense is, there are a lot of problems that come down to not being fundamentally sound. They are poor at tackling. They take bad pursuit angles. Their defensive line sucks so bad that they have to blitz nearly every play to just get an inch of pressure on the quarterback. And how about Shamar Stewart? He has to be the most obvious bust that we've seen since Anthony Richardson. The guy got literally bulldozed to the ground on one big touchdown run that the Chicago Bears had. I mean, Shamar Stewart, we knew that this dude wasn't going to be good. He had 4.5 sacks and 4 seasons starting at Texas A&M. He wasn't even the best defensive lineman that A&M had. That easily was Nick Scourton. And look at the impact that he has had with the Carolina Panthers. And the Bengals drafted a developmental defensive lineman to replace one of the best pass rushers in the league in Trey Hendrickson. And they wonder why they can't get any stops on defense. Why they have a locker room that's turned toxic. Why you got the offense turning on the defense. Because, I mean, your backup quarterback is playing as good as what you can expect the backup quarterback to play at. It doesn't get no better than Joe Flacco. The dude has been playing some exceptionally good football. And to put 40 points on the board and that not be enough to get the win, I mean, what more do you want the offense to do? At this point, the Bengals are better off putting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at corner. I mean, you're paying them a large chunk of the salary cap anyway, so you might as well put them at corner, allow them to play both sides of the football, because they can't be no worse than the other guys you've been starting at corner this season. The Bengals can't rush the quarterback. They can't stop the run. They can't force turnovers. This defense can't do anything. But it's still hard to imagine a defense being so bad that they're giving up nearly 50 points per game. This is the National Football League. The coaches are too good. The talent is too good. To be this bad is inexcusable. And yes, their personnel sucks. I'm not denying that. But these are NFL players. These are the best of the best at their profession. So how is it that the Bengals defense is giving up nearly half of 100 every single week? They've only had one game where they haven't given up at least 30 points. This is an atrocity. Zach Taylor has to get fired at this point. You are 3-6. Your season is over. You're not going to win a lot of games when your backup quarterback has an 11-2 touchdown interception ratio. Your offense is averaging nearly 40 points a game, and your defense is giving up just as much as what your offense is scoring. The season is over. You got to win every game praying to God that your offense has the ball in their hands last, because that's the only way the Bengals are going to win. When you lost to Justin Fields, your season was grits. But when you lost to Caleb Williams, you were super grits. Caleb Williams had more touchdowns against the Bengals than what he has had in the last month combined. He hasn't been good. And then you got people thinking that Caleb Williams has all of a sudden turned the corner, not realizing that the two best games that Caleb Williams has had this season has been against the two worst defenses in the league, the Cowboys and the Bengals. You don't get no brownie points for playing well against the Bengals. You're supposed to play well against the Bengals because everybody plays well against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And I don't fault the Bengals for extending Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Guys like Joe Burrow don't grow on trees. So when Joe Burrow demands you retain the guys that he went to the Super Bowl with, you do it. But if the Bengals drafted well and they had more common sense, they wouldn't be in this situation. Common sense, I don't know why common sense is called common sense if everybody doesn't seem to have it. Common sense would have told the Cincinnati Bengals that drafting Shamar Stewart in the first round was an idiotic decision. He was an obvious bust. Should have never even sniffed the first round at all. I see why they didn't want to pay him. They probably realized when they went back and they watched the film after they drafted him that he wasn't worth the selection. But instead, you have to go ahead and pay him anyway because you were at odds with Trey Hendrickson. And you pay Trey Hendrickson, and he's nowhere to be found. He's injured. And even when he was on the field, your defense still sucked. And Jamar Chase and Chase Brown and all of the other players on the offense side of the football, they have a right to be pissed off with the defense because this is the professional football league. You can't be this bad. If you don't want the starting quarterback for your favorite football team to play like Anthony Richardson, give JT Sports a 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, JT Sports is available. The links are down in the description and pinned comment below. The Steelers were left for dead. They suffered 2 straight losses after their 4-1 start. Lamar gets back healthy, and all of a sudden, despite the Steelers having the best record in the AFC North, the Ravens are still some way, somehow favored by Vegas to win the AFC North. That's disrespect. Everybody thought that the Steelers season was over after their 2 back-to-back losses against the Bengals and the Packers, that they were going to be an 8-win team. They were going to end up folding in the second half of the season like we've seen them do the last couple of years under Mike Tomlin. But no. The Steelers got Aaron Rodgers. They got Jalen Ramsey. They got Darius Slay. They still got Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. One thing that everybody forgot about the Steelers while they were counting them out against the Indianapolis Colts was that the Steelers have a locker room full of guys with a lot of pride and guys that weren't going to allow what has transpired with the Steelers in the second half of the last couple of seasons to transpire again. And you saw the Steelers against the Indianapolis Colts play Steelers football. It wasn't pretty. The offense did what they needed to do. The defense completely dominated. 6 turnovers, 5 sacks. They held the best offense in the NFL to the worst outing of the season. They shut down the front runner for MVP and Jonathan Taylor. They had Daniel Jones looking like Daniel Pennies again. The special teams was on point. This was Steelers football, and I've never been prouder to be a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers than what I am right now after their performance against the Indianapolis Colts. Any offense that has to go up against the Steelers defense, better watch out for Jalen Ramsey. He may be washed as a corner, but at safety, he's the best in the NFL. I thought that Jalen Ramsey was about to get arrested for attempted murder with how he was damn near trying to decapitate Michael Pittman. Like, I don't know what Michael Pittman did to piss off Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey was trying to knock his damn head off his freaking shoulder, man. I thought that Jalen Ramsey was going to walk out of that stadium in handcuffs for trying to kill Michael Pittman. Any receiver that's trying to get home to their family after the game better watch themselves, and they better not dare run them around in the middle of the field with Jalen Ramsey lurking at safety, because Jalen Ramsey is looking to send you straight to the emergency room. He's trying to give you CTE. If you're trying to get back home to your family after you play the Steelers, you better avoid Jalen Ramsey at all costs, because this brother is a headhunter. He's coming for blood. When he sees you come across that middle, he's trying to give you an instant trip to the emergency room. And I love Jalen Ramsey, because Jalen Ramsey, with the way he plays the game, perfectly embodies everything that we've grown up and grown accustomed to seeing out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have never been more confident in the Steelers' ability to make a run in the playoffs than what I am this year. This is a team that's good enough to make it to the Super Bowl. You don't need a lot of great receivers to win a championship. We just saw the Chiefs make it to the last 3 Super Bowls with Juju Smith-Schuster being their leading receiver. Marquise Hollywood Brown. You don't need a great group of receivers to win championships. What you do need is a quarterback that can take care of the football and play efficient level football. And that's what Aaron Rodgers does. Aaron Rodgers has single-handedly changed the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. If you take Aaron Rodgers off of this team, they probably only have 2-3 wins. Aaron Rodgers right now has been playing as good as anybody else in the NFL at quarterback. You still have guys like TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, guys that are up there in age but are still playmakers, man. You saw TJ Watt train record in the Indianapolis Colts offensive line. You saw Cam Hayward batting down a bunch of passes at the line of scrimmage. Like, people forget that the Steelers, it's not always about talent with this team. It's not always about style points. What this team is about is finding ways to scrap and claw their way to a win. And that's why I never call for Mike Tomlin's job as much as what a lot of other Steelers fans do. Because this win against the Colts was your typical Mike Tomlin underdog game. There is no coach better than having his team ready to play than Mike Tomlin when they're an underdog. When the Steelers are an underdog, you can expect to get their best effort. And everybody was giving the Colts all their praise with how dominant the offense has been, all the weapons they have compared to the Steelers, whose best weapon is DK Metcalf, Jalen Warren. They like to throw bubble screens to their tight ends. The Steelers have an ugly offense to watch. Nobody's denying that. But Aaron Rodgers, he makes the ugly look beautiful. And watching Aaron Rodgers play in the black and gold as a Steelers fan is a complete blessing. It's just so refreshing to see some competent quarterback for a change, man. For the last 3 years, we had Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. To see Aaron Rodgers play quarterback for the Steelers, I just have a hard time actually believing that is real. Like, I'm like, bro, we're watching Aaron Rodgers. We're watching the bad man go to work. I wouldn't mind seeing Aaron Rodgers return for one more season. I just hope he doesn't go out like how Tom Brady and Peyton Manning did. His body falling apart, not being able to play at the high level that he's been able to play at for the majority of his career. I mean, I love watching Aaron Rodgers play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. I got a man crush on Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to be honest with y'all, man, because how can you not? This brother has made the Steelers offense watchable. There was a time when you turned on the Steelers offense, you went to go get you something to drink, you warmed you up something in the microwave, leftovers from the other night, and you would come back and the Steelers were punting the football and the defense was back on the field. This offense was atrocious. And now you got Aaron Rodgers at the helm. Even though the Steelers offense still isn't all that great, I mean, at least it's efficient. At least you can trust this offense to get the 20 points. It was a dogfight for the Steelers to even get the 17 points before they got Aaron Rodgers. Hell, the Steelers' best weapon on offense before Aaron Rodgers arrived was Chris Boswell. So the fact that the Steelers have Aaron Rodgers playing as well as what he has, I think that the Steelers have a shot to make a deep playoff run this year. And I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to knock off the Chiefs. But at least they can win a playoff game. That's what the expectation should be for the Steelers this year. This team just knocked off the hottest team in the NFL. And I don't care what anybody tries to say about Daniel Jones and the Colts' luck so far. Listen, you are what your record says you are. And the Colts right now are tied for having the best record in the NFL. And for the Steelers to just dominate the Colts the way that they did shows you that this is a team that nobody should be overlooking. And that's the mistake that in the NFL and everybody else who was betting against the Steelers made. You overlooked that the Steelers have a bunch of guys in that locker room that have pride. When you put on that black and gold, it's not just for show. It means something. Guys in that locker room hold each other accountable. That's why I was saying, when everybody was making fun of the Steelers' old man team that they were assembling, the retirement home, I was saying, hey, maybe this is the kind of team that the Steelers need to finally go the distance. When you have guys that are veterans that have been in this league for a very long time, guys that have won Super Bowls like Aaron Rodgers, Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, you have guys that aren't going to let mediocrity be tolerated. You're going to have guys that knows what it takes to turn around a sinking ship. And that's what you have, and that's what's beautiful when you watch the Steelers play this year. When it rains, it pours, and the Commanders are in a hellstorm right now. Not only did they get demolished in prime time Sunday night by the Seahawks, but Jaden Daniels had the most gruesome injury that you can ever watch. Then you also have other slew of injuries. Luke McCaffrey goes down. Marshawn Lattimore is out for the season with the torn ACL. Like, the fat lady is singing for the Washington Commanders. Their season is all but over. I mean, they just need to go ahead and start preparing for next off season, start laying out who they're going to target in free agency, who their top guys are going to be for the first round of next year's draft, because there is no more football left for the Commanders to play, at least meaningful football. You might as well put all the young rookies that you have in there and get those guys meaningful experience. Just start looking forward and start preparing for the 2026 season. I'm not surprised that the Commanders have regressed the way that they have, because last season was a mirage. Last year, you had Dan Quinn in his second stint as a head coach in his first season with the organization with a new owner, with Jaden Daniels, who had the greatest rookie season in NFL history, and they took advantage of a favorable schedule and favorable matchups in the playoffs. You played a Buccaneers team that was struggling throughout the majority of last year. They only won the division because Kirk Cousins threw it away to them. And then you beat up on a Detroit Lions defense that had guys off the street starting. They had me and you out there pretty much starting that defense last year. And then when you ran into the Philadelphia Eagles, you just got out-rostered. And where the Commanders ran wrong is that this past offseason, the Commanders didn't make enough moves to push the needle for them being in the Super Bowl conversation. They just did enough to keep them afloat, to keep them in playoff contention, to keep them in second place in their division. They didn't do enough to really make themselves a formidable threat to the Eagles, the Rams, or any of the other top teams in the NFC. You gave Jaden Daniels big back Deebo Samuel, and you thought that that was going to be enough to help you get over the hump, to help you get back to the NFC Championship. Yeah, you improved the offensive line, but what about the defensive line? Your biggest acquisition was signing Von Miller, who pretty much is on his way to retirement. I haven't heard Von Miller's name called all this season. And then not only that, but you have Bobby Wagner back, who still is pretty good, but I mean, what about drafting Bobby Wagner's replacement for the future? Is he on the roster? No. Franco Louisville is a stud, but your secondary still has a bunch of holes. And Dan Quinn is supposed to be a defensive-minded coach, and yet the worst part of the Commanders team is the defense. And I was never a huge fan of the Commanders hiring Dan Quinn, but it has worked out so far due to him making a good hire with Cliff Kingsbury as the OC and getting Jaden Daniels. But when you remove Jaden Daniels from the equation, you see the truth about what Dan Quinn and the Commanders are without him. And this is not a good team. And I wasn't expecting for the Commanders to make it to the playoffs this year. After I saw what they did in the offseason, these were just lateral moves. You're nothing but just a pure fan if you are hopping yourself up with Big Back Deebo. Big Back Deebo is Big Back Deebo for a reason, because he's big, he's slow, and he's sluggish, and he doesn't get open. He didn't do anything against the Seattle Seahawks. He was getting clamped down. They didn't even take Deebo Samuel as a threat. They were treating Deebo Samuel like he was just another run-of-the-mill rando that they were throwing out there at receiver. You were better off swapping out Deebo Samuel with me and you off the couch from home. Hey, man, we need you at the airport, 2 a.m., JT. Make sure that you got your bags packed, because we need you to play receiver next week for us. Okay, cool. Like, I know I'm out of shape, but I mean, what's the difference between me and Deebo Samuel? Of course, I'm just joking with that, but I mean, come on, man. You thought that Deebo Samuel was going to be able to help you get over the hump? There's a reason why the 49ers let him walk away. And the offense somewhat has gotten better with Deebo Samuel being gone, because You have to scheme Deebo Samuel open. He's not a guy that can get open by himself. He needs a really creative offensive coordinator, which Cliff Kingsbury is, but Deebo just doesn't have the skill set to be an effective number 2 receiver or a complementary option to a guy like Terry McLaurin. I always felt that last season's success for the Commanders was a facade. You were ahead of schedule. You didn't play a lot of good teams. You had favorable matchups in the playoffs. And then when you went up against a team in the NFC Championship that was at full strength, the game wasn't even close. And the sole reason why you went as far as what you did was mainly due to the play of Jaden Daniels. But now that you don't have Jaden Daniels anymore and you got to lean on the defense to keep you in games, you're seeing the truth about Dan Quinn be exposed. And that's just, he's not a good head coach. When you specialize in a particular area of the ball, and that ends up being the worst area of your team, is a huge red flag. And the Commanders got a lot of cap space going into next year. If they don't go out and get them a superstar receiver to pair alongside of Terry McLaurin, make some necessary trades to get a Mekhi Lemon or whoever else is one of the best receivers coming out of next year's draft, to make sure that they give Jaden Daniels an actual good supporting cast. I mean, you share a division with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts is throwing to A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Having a team with Deebo Samuel, Big Back Deebo, and Terry McLaurin is not going to be good enough to get you over the hump. And you also are wasting time, and you're not getting the most out of an elite quarterback on the rookie deal. By the time the Commanders actually have a good enough team to compete for the Super Bowl, they're not going to have enough cap space to go ahead and get some more superstars, because you're going to have to give Jaden Daniels the largest contract in NFL history for a quarterback. You probably got to give Jaden Daniels $200 million fully guaranteed, and you're not going to have enough cap space to win after you pay him that kind of money. So that's why you have to strike while the iron is hot. And the Commanders' mistake was thinking that they could make okay moves and that would be enough to push the needle for them, and it wasn't. And that's why now Jaden Daniels being hurt not only ends their season, but it also should force them to have to recalibrate what the goal will be going into this offseason, which is not trying to make moves that make us okay or good enough to stay afloat. Go ahead and make those moves that can insert you into that Super Bowl conversation. Get aggressive in free agency. Start overspending on big name guys in the market that are there. Get more aggressive in the draft. You need to go all in on Jaden Daniels while you have him on a rookie contract. Because once it's time for that brother to get paid, I'm pretty confident that Mama Daniels isn't going to leave a single penny on the table for the Commanders to work with after Jaden Daniels gets his, man. And that's really where the Commanders went wrong. Last season, they overachieved. And they thought that, okay, we went as far as what we did last year. All we need is a few pieces here, get us Big Back Deebo, and that'll be good enough. No. And even with the injuries, if you would have been more aggressive this offseason and going after some of the best players available in free agency, you would have been able to somewhat survive these injuries, because you haven't guys that can elevate, not having a good quarterback. That could have got you a lot further than what you're going to go right now without Jaden Daniels. And I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to play another snap this season. Did you see the way that brother's elbow bent? That's one of the most gruesome injuries that I've ever seen. That's the first injury that I didn't want to see the replay of. I saw somebody repost it on X and I blocked them. I don't want to see Jaden Daniels' injury pop up on my feed ever again. It was worse than Tank Dell's injury when his leg snapped in half. He broke his fibula, his ACL, his MCL, his LCL. Tank Dell tore things that I didn't even know were even part of the human anatomy. The Commanders' 2024 success was mirage. Follow us on all social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram at JT_, on X at JT__. TikTok, you can find us at JT__ as well. So you can stay up to date with everything that's going on with the JT Sports Podcast, along with updates and bonus content as well. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram and X. Links are down in the description and pinned comment section below. A quarterback like Lamar Jackson shouldn't even exist. He throws the ball like prime Tom Brady, and he runs that rock like he's prime Walter Payton. Lamar Jackson is the closest thing that we will ever see to Jesus on the football field. And yes, I know, how dare you compare Lamar Jackson to Jesus? If Jesus played football, I would expect him to look like Lamar Jackson. Unstoppable. This is a guy that has the highest passer rating in the history of the NFL. When Lamar Jackson retires, he's going to be littered all throughout the NFL record books. He's going to be top 10 in passing yards, top 10 in passing touchdowns, top 10 in rushing yards, and top 10 in rushing touchdowns, along with having the highest career passer rating in NFL history. Lamar Jackson is the greatest quarterback of all time. He doesn't need a Super Bowl to stamp this. There is no quarterback that has ever had the accolades and the skill set that Lamar Jackson does. This is the equivalent to making a 99 overall quarterback in Madden, and you max out every single one of his stats. We will never see a quarterback this perfect ever again. When you watch Lamar Jackson step on that field every Sunday, you're watching history be made. Like, literally, Lamar Jackson breaks a new record every game that he plays in. I don't know how anybody can watch Lamar Jackson and say, yeah, that's not the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Anytime Tom Brady calls a Baltimore Ravens game and he sees Lamar Jackson play, he's like, oh, wow, oh my goodness, how did he do that? Like, even Tom Brady can't comprehend what the fuck he's watching when he sees Lamar Jackson. Like, this guy runs 4.2 and yet had a 41-4 touchdown interception ratio last year. Lamar Jackson has missed a good stretch of the season and yet has 14 touchdowns and only 1 interception. We will never see a quarterback this close to perfection as what we see with Lamar Jackson ever again. This is the greatest quarterback to ever put his hands on a football. And you don't need a Super Bowl ring to stamp this. I don't need to see Lamar Jackson win a Super Bowl to admit that he's the greatest quarterback in NFL history. There is not another quarterback that is as talented as what Lamar Jackson is. Josh Allen doesn't come close to the talent that Lamar is. People always like to talk about how Lamar can't win the playoffs. What the hell has Josh Allen won the playoffs? He hasn't been to a Super Bowl. He doesn't have a ring on his finger. So what the hell are we even comparing the two to? I tell you why. Because people can't accept the fact that Lamar Jackson is in a different tier of his own. No other quarterback, Mahomes, Burrow, and Josh Allen, are touching Lamar Jackson. This brother can do everything. You want to shut down the run? Cool. Lamar Jackson's going to tear you to shreds from within the pocket. Stop saying this nonsense that Lamar Jackson can't throw the football when he has the highest career passer rating in NFL flipping history. Come on now. There's a reason why Kodak called Lamar Jackson the young legend of Pompano. Because this is the greatest quarterback in NFL history. We would never see another quarterback like this. Do you guys not understand that it's a blessing to watch something like Lamar Jackson? Because something like Lamar Jackson should not even be allowed to exist. God created a super quarterback. This is the football God that we're watching on the field here, people. I mean, the dude throws the ball like Aaron Rodgers. This is Aaron Rodgers on crack. That's what Lamar Jackson is. Lamar Jackson is a cracked out version of Aaron Rodgers. If you gave Aaron Rodgers 4.2 speed and he was still in his prime, that's the closest that you will ever get to Lamar Jackson. People keep saying Jaden Daniels is the new Lamar Jackson. No, the hell he isn't. Lamar only gets touched when he wants to get touched, or if you sack him in the backfield, if you're lucky enough. When you go up against Lamar Jackson, you have to change your entire scheme. Mike Vrabel said, y'all want to ban the tush push? How about we ban Lamar Jackson? Because Mike Vrabel knows that Lamar Jackson is more glitched out than what the tush push is. You rather have to deal with the tush push than have to deal with Lamar Jackson, because this brother is everything that you would want if you were dreaming up the perfect quarterback. Literally, like, how do people watch Lamar Jackson play and say, yeah, he's not the greatest of all time. He doesn't have a ring. Lamar doesn't need a ring to be the GOAT. This is the most talented quarterback, pound for pound, in NFL history. Literally, like, it befuddles me that people continuously critique Lamar Jackson. Oh, he's overrated. Oh, he never shows up when it matters the most. Get the hell out of my face, dude. It's a blessing to watch number 8 take that field. And I'm a Steelers fan, and I still lose sleep knowing that we passed on Lamar Jackson for Terrell Edmonds. I don't like the Ravens at all. The only reason I watch the Ravens play is because of Lamar Jackson. I am truly grateful that we get to watch something like Lamar Jackson play football, because something like this should not be allowed to exist. Lamar Jackson should be banned from the NFL, because truly, how the fuck do you stop this? He runs 4.2. He throws the ball like prime Tom Brady, and he runs that rock like he's Walter Payton in his prime. And people really have the audacity to say that Josh Allen is better than this? Are you kidding me? What are we watching? What about Josh Allen makes him comparable to Lamar Jackson? Because I don't see it. Josh Allen doesn't have the highest pass rating in NFL history. Josh Allen isn't a 2-time MVP. Josh Allen isn't a 3-time first-team All-Pro. Do you know that Lamar Jackson is the only player in NFL history to be a 2-time MVP and a 3-time unanimous first-team All-Pro? I mean, when Lamar Jackson retires and when our kids become grandkids, they're going to ask us just how good was Lamar Jackson, because when I go to Madden and I go to the history books, I go to all the records, I see Lamar Jackson everywhere. Top 10 passing yards, top 10 pass touchdowns, top 10 rush yards, top 10 rushing touchdowns. Like, what can this dude do?